turn off the whole thing, it's still there. How's it going, guys? We're back again today with another video, and today I want to talk about something special, and that's my first. Now before you guys start getting all sappy, let me tell you, it ain't about no girl, it ain't about no woman. We're going to be talking about not my first love, my first motorcycle. And we're going to be talking about my first three-wheeler too. Actually, come to think of it, yeah, they were probably my first loves. But anyway, let's get in it. Before we start, as always, my buddy Thomas, we're riding together. And we get together quite a bit and go riding. But anyway, I just figured it's a beautiful day out here. I actually worked the closing shift today at work, so we're like, let's get out here before work and go for a ride. We're actually going to ride to a motorcycle shop today. A new one, I guess. It's like a consignment store, but for motorcycle stuff. So I guess like it's kind of like a Goodwill, but I guess they got like helmets and riding jackets instead of like stained underwear and stinky shirts. No, I'm just kidding. I get a lot of my clothes from Goodwill, and I'm not ashamed of it. They got good deals. Heck, you can even find stuff in there that nobody wore. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump in here. And we're going to talk about my first three-wheeler here for a minute. We used to have a lake house up at St. Mary's Lake here in Ohio. There was a guy that had a I don't know, I think it was an 83 or 84 ATC 70. And it had the usual cracked out fenders on the back and everything like that. But we were, you know, my dad's like, hey, this would be a good one for you to start with. And I think he was only asking a couple $100 for it. And it ran all right and everything. So we got it, and it needed a new starter, recoil, full start on it and everything. And we put that on, got a new one from Honda, put that on there. And then I started riding that ATC 70. I'm sure I got some pictures of it somewhere, but I don't know. Maybe if I find some sometime, I'll throw them in a video or something. So I started on an ATC 70 as a little kid, about 4 or 5 years old. And I had that. And then my dad got a 125M 84. And I actually went through that thing and painted up a lot of the parts and cleaned it up, made it look really nice. And then I rode that pretty much as my main one once I left the 70. And then I found we found the 79 110, and that's what I rode after the 125. Believe it or not, the 110 had a little bit more power than the 125. But anyway, guys, yeah, I started on that. That was my first three-wheeler, was a ATC 70. But anyway, that was that. I'll throw up a picture right here so you guys can see what they look like. But anyway, so let's get started on our first motorcycle. Now, as a kid, I was always buying and selling some kind of motorized vehicle, you know, mostly three-wheelers actually, and motorcycles. But I had just sold my 86 125 three-wheeler, and I had some money, and me and my dad hauled in we hauled dirt with our dump truck. That's what we did. So as a kid, I would always ride with him, and we'd go get dirt wherever we could. And one of the guys that had some dirt we were getting owned like a, I don't know what you'd call it, like maybe like a man cave store. He sold all kinds of like guns and antiques, kind of just, you know, stuff you'd find like in a man cave. I think he actually called his store the Man Cave for a while. Man, it's a little windy out here. But anyway, he had a Honda Odyssey, the FL250, and not one of them minivans. I'm talking about the old sand buggy. Kind of looks like a go-kart, but it had the 250 two-stroke in it. And then I started, I don't know, I was probably 13 maybe at the time, 13, 14. I started looking at motorcycles. So I found oh, we got somebody turning here. Or no, they're just going around this guy. My dad got that CB550 that my buddy Weston rides, and then his friend had a CB200, which actually what's funny is Weston bought the CB200 from my dad's friend as his first bike, and then he bought the CB500 from my dad, but that's another story. Anyway, they all had CBs, so I found a 74 CB125 that I started fixing up to ride as my first motorcycle. And that's what I learned to ride clutch on. None of my three-wheelers before that had a clutch. My dad had the 200X and I rode it, you know, after the fact, but before I never had anything with a clutch. And I jumped on that thing and nobody really said much. They just said, you know, you let this out and you go. And I had a little bit of trouble at first, but first time I took off, I was fine after that, never had any troubles, so it was a good little bike. I got some pictures, I'll throw it up right now. That was the day I brought it home. We bought it over at one of the motorcycle swap meets. I don't know if you guys have heard of them, but Walnex. They host all kinds of vintage motorcycle swap meets and stuff, and found it over at the one in Springfield, Ohio, and brought her home. And heck, I had that thing a long time. I had that even when I had my Tiger Cub. I had that thing when I had my Rebel. I actually kept that all the way up until I got my first truck, because I sold it to put money towards my first truck. See, my plan was, it didn't have a title with it or anything, so I was gonna have to get a title for it. So that kind of put a damper on everything for me. But I decided that I'd start to get my truck, because my plan was I wanted to take that motor out and put it in a 125 three-wheeler because it had the clutch on it, so it'd be a little bit more a little more for performance, I guess. But that didn't end up happening, and I needed some cash, so I sold that puppy. And I guess while we're on it, we can talk about my first truck. My first truck was a 1989 F350 Ford dually, two-wheel drive, and it had the 351 gasser with 5-speed with overdrive, manual transmission, and I had dual set of glass packs running back on each one independently. It sounded really nice. Actually, one of my buddies that I work with bought that from me, and he still drives it as his daily. But I had the Ranger and the Firebird and that dually, and I just didn't see the need for 3 vehicles paying insurance, especially when I had motorcycles and stuff, so I just decided to go ahead and sell that thing. So yeah, guys, that's some of the first things I've owned over the years. The first three-wheeler, first motorcycle, as well as my first truck. But hopefully that was a little bit interesting for you. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. And if you want to see more, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you leave a like on this video. And if you aren't and you want to keep up every time I upload, hit that little bell. That'll tell you every time I upload a video. So as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.